First, let me thank you all very much for making the time to come today, especially to spend a bit of time looking at some of the issues around the implementation of all of our plans around building an enabling environment for business in Nigeria. The Executive Order 001 was the very first executive order of this administration. And this, of course, as you know, underscores the importance of its content to the overall strategy, our overall strategy as a government, our overall economic strategy. When fully implemented, we expect that the executive order will transform the way that the federal government and its ministries, its departments, and agencies serve the business community and the public at large. We've already heard that there were 6 directives that address limitations identified in the civil and public service systems, which we try to address in the executive order. Transparency, default approval, which has to do with efficiency, one government, which also is an efficiency issue, the entry experience of visitors and travelers, port operations and registration of businesses. The combination of the accelerator programs that's implemented by PEBEC since July 2016, that is the NAP 60, that's the National Action Plan 60-day National Action Plan, and the release of the country. And as you know, we keep repeating the story so that nobody forgets how we rose up 24 places from 169 position to 145. You would think that we were number 1 already, the way we repeat this story. But we don't want anyone to forget, especially all of those who are pessimistic about the way that this is going. For the first time, Nigeria was acknowledged as one of the top 10 most improved economies, especially in terms of the business climate of the country. Now, this success is a testament to the importance of the executive order as a blueprint for fundamental government reform, and it demonstrates how quickly impact can be made with systemic intervention and unwavering government commitment. But perhaps most importantly, our successes so far demonstrate the game-changing effect of executive, legislative, and judicial cooperation, as well as the collaboration between us and the states, us, I mean the federal government, and the states, and of course, the private sector. So today, significant legislative and judicial reforms have been achieved, working closely with the National Assembly and the judiciary. In 2017, PEBEC, in collaboration with the National Assembly, delivered 2 acts, which, of course, you've already heard about them, which enable access to credit. And this, of course, is a vital requirement for the SMEs. This year, the Companies and Allied Matters Bill has been repealed and reenacted by Senate and is currently awaiting passage by the House of Representatives. The judiciary has also been a very strong partner in reforming the whole dispute resolution landscape. And this, of course, again, is a key factor for investors. The Lagos State in April 2018 commissioned the Small Claims Court to handle commercial claims, liquidated money demands of 5 million and below. Adjudication of cases before the small courts up to judgment is expected to take a maximum of 60 days. Kano State also recently passed the new magistrate courts law, which also designates small claims courts in the states, and this, of course, follows some of what we're already seeing happening in Lagos State. I think it's so important to, again, just thank the state governments that are doing so well, especially with respect to the small claims courts that have just been put in place. Now, these courts are very important, especially for SMEs, and some of the non-litigation options as well, the ADR options that they have in Lagos, in Kano, here also in Abuja and several other states, are also very commendable indeed, and we think that they will help to improve the business environment, especially for small businesses. The federal government also, working with both the Lagos and Kano states, have managed to reduce the costs and delays in registration of title to land and obtaining building permits. The governors have also agreed to adopt, as you heard, the PEBEC model at the state level. In the coming months, as we tackle regulatory challenges and bureaucratic complaints, we continue to lean on the private sector because really, this is really about how government works with the private sector. And the reforms, of course, have to do with the private sector satisfaction in the business environment. So if this works, the private sector should be complaining far less. And we're paying attention to that, and I hope that this event is also one that's helped us, especially those of us on the government side, to better understand some of what the concerns of the private sector. And truly, we cannot be naive, and no one is naive, I believe, about about how these changes need to take place and how quickly they need to take place. But we also recognize that we're dealing here with systemic problems. We're dealing with systemic problems that have taken a while to entrench themselves. And so we need we need some patience and some time to be able to surmount some of the challenges that we've seen and that we experience. I think that anyone who has worked in our environment for any length of time will probably understand that what we're seeing is really quite significant. I mean, I was just listening to what Mr. Muda Yusuf had to say, and the several sectors that still need to be addressed. I think it's important that we bear in mind that this is a journey. It is, and it's one that is bound to take a while. But I found that quite instructive. I mean, if you look at the customs, yes, we have significant problems in the customs service, and you're absolutely right that many are still complaining about how long it takes, the arbitrariness sometimes that we experience there. And this is the same for the oil and gas sector, perhaps even worse, especially with some of the problems around contracting and how long it takes to contract and all that. I mean, we have, but the interesting thing though is that some of the frustrations that you experience, we also experience at the, if you like, intelligence level. And the good thing is that we are committed to ensuring that there is a change. The Minister of Finance, the Minister of Trade and Industry, know how long we spend with the NNPC and how long we spend with Customs and some of the other agencies to ensure that they understand that this is not just about revenues, it's not just about it is first about trying to get the right, trying to do things right, trying to do things in a manner that works for everyone, especially for the private sector, who are the investors in this environment. With the NNPC, it's an ongoing reform process, an ongoing challenge. But you can be sure that we're not unmindful of all of the various problems, and we spend time. In fact, I think it was last week that we held a meeting with the NNPC from about 10, on the NNPC radio, about 10 to about 2:30 a.m. in the morning, because we felt that there were issues that needed to be dealt with. You can be sure, as I said, that we are working very, very hard on these issues, and that we will see a change, we'll see a turnaround. What is most important is that we're on this journey of building and enabling business environment. It's perhaps even more a journey of national transformation, because what we're talking about is changing attitudes that have long been entrenched. We're talking about changing mindsets, because it's not just about putting in place systems. It is more about changing the way people think. I mean, if people have for years thought that when I am in a position as a regulator, it means that this is also a position where I can bully people, I can make money for myself and all of that. If people have that impression and have had that impression for years, it will take a while. And those who they deal with also believe that, yes, perhaps they have a right to actually do what they're doing. So it takes, a while to be able to change that. And part of it, of course, is ensuring that there's consequence for misbehavior. And this is one of the issues, that the president himself has asked that we take a good look at. He believes very strongly that we must look at how it is that those who do not comply with instructions, do not comply with orders, or are found to be misbehaving one way or the other should be sanctioned appropriately. So I think that a combination of this reorientation as well as sanctions will greatly help in changing our business environment, but more importantly in changing some of the bad habits that have been imbibed over the years. So just to say thank you very much again to everyone who has been here, especially our friends and colleagues from the private sector, and also the agencies of government that are here, the heads of agencies of government that are here. We're in this business together, and we're going to make sure that insofar as it lies within our power, we do our best to make sure that we are able to create a better environment and a better nation for ourselves. Thank you very much.